Continuing education knows that at the end, students want to graduate, and we can help them do that because we take the time to really listen to their needs and we understand all the different options that are available across the campus for them.
We don't take a cookie cutter approach. We realize each student comes with their own story. So whether it's a part-time student looking to complete a degree program or someone just looking for online courses, we're there to connect them to the resources of the university.
Hello everyone, I am going to get us started simply because there is a film screening after this and I don't want you to be late for a very important date. I am Ryan Warner, senior host of Colorado Matters on CPR News. Thank you. I like to say it's a nerdy group that claps for me. Just a few bits of business to get through before we start in earnest our presentation. Thank you for joining us at the 78th Annual Conference on World Affairs. For recording purposes, today's date, Wednesday, April 15th, 2026. I sound like a hostage. Blink twice show today's newspaper. Panel time, 5:30 p.m. Panel title, Colorado Matters, the Future of Film in Colorado, in partnership with CU Boulder Cinema Studies and Moving Image Arts. And now, CU Boulder's land acknowledgement. The university honors and recognizes the many contributions of Indigenous peoples in our state. CU Boulder acknowledges that it is located on the traditional territories and ancestral homelands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Ute, and many other Native American nations. Their forced removal from these territories has caused devastating and lasting impacts. While the university can never undo or rectify the devastation, we commit to improving and enhancing engagement with Indigenous peoples and issues locally and globally. We will do this by recognizing and amplifying the voices of Indigenous CU Boulder students, staff, and faculty and their work, educating, conducting research, supporting student success, and integrating Indigenous knowledge, consulting, engaging, and working collaboratively with tribal nations to enhance our ability to provide access and culturally sensitive support, and to recruit, retain, and graduate Native American students in a climate that is inclusive and respectful. Thank you. Once again, welcome to CWA and today's discussion. There's just a little bit more for me to read. We ask that our attendees remain respectful. Oh, this is for this group in particular, I heard. We ask that all our attendees remain respectful throughout the discussion and refrain from interruptions. I will take uproarious applause and hearty laughter. Signs, banners, noisemakers, and other audible disruptions are not permitted and will result in those responsible being asked to leave the room. Please silence your phones. This is not true. Time is not going to be allotted for your questions. I'm so sorry. Nope. And also no. Okay. Pete Kramer, are we rolling? Okay. I just want to say that you're going to watch a radio show being taped as much as you're about to watch a symposium. So there may be sausage making, that is like restarts and things like that, and this will air on Colorado Matters at some point in the future. News is a little unpredictable these days. I can't give you a date. Okay, do we need room tone? Let's do 5 seconds of room tone. That's the sound of the silence. All right. This is Colorado Matters from CPR News and KRCC. I'm Ryan Warner. It was good news for Colorado, bad news for Utah. Sundance had chosen to pack up its canisters and move to Boulder. Here is filmmaker and Sundance Institute board chair Yves Bernot in front of the Boulder Theater just over a year ago.
I want to be very, very clear. While the Sundance Film Festival will be anchored in Boulder, we intend for its spirit to be felt throughout the state. Yes. And I sincerely mean this, from Denver to Colorado Springs to Fort Collins and beyond, we are not here to only show up 10 days a year in one location. No, the Sundance Film Festival is here to be a statewide partner, collaborating on arts and culture, education, and community, and we are incredibly excited to get to work with all of you.
Those 10 days of the festival, though, are still pretty important. What can we expect from January 21st through 31st? Well, that's easy for me to say. What can we expect from January 21st through 31st, 2027? Who is Sundance for? Will there be ample popcorn? We are in Boulder at CU's Conference on World Affairs to chat with a Sundance muckety-muck, a filmmaker shaped by Sundance, and a little later, a CU sophomore who wants to make movies. We'll see if we can land her a job today. Let's give our guests a warm welcome. Okay. Are we okay to proceed? Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, here we go. We're not, okay, is this attuned? No, okay, it sounds like we're good. Producer and studio founder Gigi Pritzker is on the Sundance Institute Board of Trustees. Hello, Gigi.
Hello, Ryan.
I'm not sure I'm getting you. Let me have you pull that just a tad closer.
I'm afraid I may have been the reason we were getting the feedback.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
Good now.
How is Gigi? Are you hearing Gigi? No.
No.
Okay. The button is pressed.
The button is
but
pressed.
I appreciate the IT support.
How's the light is green. How about that? I'll project.
Well, that's not great for radio, though.
Oh,
What do we need to troubleshoot?
I won't project. I'll project less.
I think that's good.
Okay.
Okay, let's try that.
Good luck, Lulu.
I'm gonna take that again. Producer and studio founder Gigi Pritzker is on the Sundance Institute Board of Trustees. Hi, Gigi.
Hi, Ryan.
And writer and director Lulu Wang gave us the 2019 breakout indie film, The Farewell, starring Awkwafina. She is now adapting and directing Audition, the critically acclaimed novel. Lucy Liu will star. And hi, Lulu.
Hi, Ryan.
I want to break the ice a little bit. Would you each name a movie you loved as a kid, and perhaps one you watched like over and over again in your youth? Lulu?
Well, my parents and I came to the U.S. when I was pretty young, like 6 years old, and my mother was a huge fan, and still is, of musicals, and so the film we watched constantly was Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Yeah, and it had a huge influence on me, I think. It's, now that I think back on it, it's about family, but it's also set against this geopolitical, historical time, and it's a very epic story, but also a very intimate story.
It's interesting. There are some parents who I think don't let the kids watch the second half, but you were allowed to see the whole of Sound of Music.
Yes, definitely.
Yes, with all of its.
I got all the history from my mother.
Yeah. Okay, Gigi, what was a
So
movie?
not terribly different. Dr. Zhivago.
Aha.
So also political and yeah, Dr. Zhivago. We watched a lot.
What influence did it have on you, do you think?
I remember thinking how cool it was, the scene where they're in the horse-drawn carriage and it's cold and they go to the palace and it's all frozen. I remember thinking that was incredible because it made me feel cold, and I was amazed by the power of film to do that.
to give you a feeling through a screen?
It's one of the reasons I wanted to make films. That and Stop Making Sense by the Talking Heads. Those were the two.
I might weave in a little bit of Talking Heads there. Okay, very good. Gigi, as vividly as you can, maybe engaging as many senses as you can, hot, cold, whatever it is, what will those 10 days in January be like?
Oh, it's amazing. If you've never been, it's, there's nothing like it. There's excitement, there's fear, there's anticipation, there's so much to do. There are films, but there are lectures and talks and opportunities to gather. I think the thing I like the most is just the standing in line and waiting and the anticipation.
Wait.
About
one of your favorite things about Sundance
Yeah.
is to stand
Yeah.
in line?
Yeah, the standing in line's a thing, right? People who've been there know.
What would be pleasant about it?
Talking to other people, the interaction amongst people.
Seeing if you might get in or not.
Hoping.
Hoping you
Hoping.
will if you're on the wait list.
Yeah, that's the anticipation part.
Lulu, are you big enough now that you get in, or do they hold you?
Well, I get on the wait list and I still kind of have to wait, but I do have, I'll be honest, I do get a little bit more leeway, yeah.
Okay, do you want to describe what Sundance has felt like and looked like for you?
The actual festival?
Yeah,
or,
exactly, the
yeah,
festival.
How long do you have? Because I had basically the quintessential Sundance experience. It was a complete dream come true, every single bit of it. To be brief, basically getting into the festival, being left a message by Kim Yutani, was the one who called me. I got the voicemail saying, "Hi Lulu, this is Kim. Would you give me a call back?" And I just started screaming because I knew what that meant. To showing up at the festival, not knowing what to expect, having this incredible premiere with my parents there who were watching the film for the very first time because I didn't want them to see a cut of the film earlier and give me too many notes because I had already shot the film and no, I cannot reshoot the film to make you look nicer, Mom. And then to just the nerves, the fear, the anticipation of the response, the standing ovation we got, the just reviews coming in and me going, I can't read it, and my now husband, then boyfriend at the time going, well, I'm gonna read it for you and I'm gonna tell you, what they're saying, to 10 p.m. getting a phone call saying, are you in bed? Well, get out of bed. There's a black car waiting for you outside that's gonna take you to a house. And there's a bunch of buyers and there's a bidding war and you're gonna go into this house and you're gonna listen to them pitch you. So after 10 years of pitching to people who would ignore me, now I'm suddenly in a position where, Amazon and Netflix and all these people, A24, who we ultimately sold the film to, would come and pitch me. Just a completely disorienting but incredible experience.
Nice to be fought over,
Yes.
is what I'm hearing. Now, you mentioned Kim Yutani, that's director of programming for the festival. And I guess I want to ask Gigi if the festival is a welcoming place for people who aren't in the industry. Because I think the fundamental question of, is this for me, probably rests with a lot of Coloradans right now.
Yeah, it is absolutely for everyone. It is so much fun. I have groups of girlfriends from across the country that come to Sundance every year who have nothing to do with the festival. They just enjoy movies, and honestly, it's really fun when someone like Lulu is standing next to you and her film is in the festival and you get a chance to talk to filmmakers, and the excitement you see from new filmmakers who are having that experience, it's infectious.
And what is the access to Sundance? I mean, is it like trying to get Taylor Swift tickets?
No, so much easier.
So much easier.
So much easier.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a website, you go on it, you buy tickets, done.
Per film?
There are many ways to buy tickets.
Okay.
You can buy per film, you can buy a package, you can buy a number of things.
All right. And the main reason I brought you here is, do you have a discount code we can plug into the... I'm kidding. And then, you know, all sorts of venues become cinemas, movie houses. But my understanding too is that it's a bit of a pop-up feeling, that venues around town, you know, a floral shop or something, becomes an unexpected party. Will you just speak briefly to that?
The whole town becomes kind of a giant pop-up, and people are roaming all over and going into stores that are now suddenly venues, going into the local high school that is now a venue. And so I think the town really gets a chance to kind of be a part of the festival, because it's very porous between what's going on, between people coming, the filmmakers, people who have come in maybe to do a panel, people who are promoting their films. There's a variety of people that end up converging as a result of the festival.
I love the adjective porous. So if there's like a dentist who thinks, you know, my lobby would be a fabulous venue. I mean, what's the strangest place you've seen a movie at Sundance?
Oh, Hotel Ballroom.
Hotel Ballroom. Okay, it's not as wacky as I was hoping.
No, sorry.
Indeed, there's the film festival, which dates back to 1978. It began as the U.S. Film Festival. In 1981, actor and director Robert Redford started the Sundance Institute, which took over ownership of that Utah event. And, you know, Gigi, I imagine you know this spiel like the back of your hand, but will you boil down what the Institute does in the world for those other 355 days of the year?
This is the best part of being able to do stuff like this in a new place, because we get to actually explain what a lot of people don't understand, because the festival is the outward-facing, you know, shiny consumer thing that people see.
Yeah.
It's also, the most important thing about it is the giant revenue driver for the Institute. So the festival is what gives us, in large part, the money to be able to do the work the other days of the year, which is labs. We have a number of labs. You probably can speak about labs way more eloquently
Oh
than
yes,
me.
let's get a little Lulu here. So Lulu, tell me what the Institute has meant to you, because I think that'll help us understand its work.
Well, I think that, you know, many people don't realize the entire process you know, you see the overnight success of a filmmaker, but it really does take 7 years is what they told me when I first moved to LA, and I thought, that's never gonna happen to me. That's so long, I'm gonna do this in 3 years. It took 10, and that's short, I'm told. And so the Institute has these labs, and they are basically like a workshop. There's a screenwriter's workshop, there's a director's lab workshop, and there's incredible people who select filmmakers that you can submit to these labs, and then you get into the lab and you're mentored basically through these labs. And the mentorship is like a pipeline. It's not a guarantee that the film will ultimately be in the festival, but a lot of times they are when they've been through these labs, and it creates careers for so many filmmakers.
Would you be here today with the resume you have without Sundance?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And I was about to be a little, well, I'm very ambitious, so I probably still would be. But
No, I love that.
But the reality, though, is that this is, you know, in this country, we don't have government funding for the arts. And so Sundance is so incredible because it's one of the few places that supports artists, that provides funding, that provides a platform, that provides workshops to grow and to develop, and it's really a whole pipeline, and that takes years and years of being, and it's a community. You know, that's what's really important. I went to LA not knowing a single person, and even before I got into the lab, Sundance would host you know, different kinds of gatherings. Just anybody can come. And so even here, as part of the festival, you know, if you're a filmmaker in this community, attending these gatherings, you start to meet people, you start to hear about different opportunities.
Your point about government funding for the arts and for cinema in particular resonates with me because there are so many films from abroad where one of the first title cards is, paid for by the Lesotho Film Commission or what have you. So is the Institute, Gigi, filling a role then in the United States, as Lulu has hinted, that government is not meeting?
Yeah, and it's not in our history to have government do that necessarily.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a robust, our 501c3 structure and our not-for-profit structure is how people tend to be able to support art and culture as opposed to the government.
Yeah.
And so the reality is, yes, Sundance is really an important piece of the ecosystem and the evolution for film in this country. I mean, the Institute gives opportunity to new filmmakers that very few other places can do.
You're the primordial soup of film.
We are.
Okay.
We are the petri dish.
Gigi, it hasn't been a year since Robert Redford died. How are you doing?
That was a pretty impactful experience, the final festival, and the fact that it kind of culminated with the passing of Mr. Redford and the final festival in Park City. There was a huge amount of emotion. I'm happy to say, I think it was beautifully done. I think the entire Institute staff really did an extraordinary job of recognizing these kind of milestones that were all happening at once.
Yeah, big transition time,
Huge,
my goodness.
Huge.
Okay, Lulu Wang, I'd like to chat about The Farewell a little bit. A screening follows our discussion here in Boulder. Semi-autobiographical, a Chinese-American family rushes back to China when the matriarch receives a terminal diagnosis. Only they're keeping that diagnosis from her. To some extent, the film grew out of your This American Life episode, What You Don't Know.
My family built on that lie with an even more elaborate one. We realized we had a problem. How are we all going to manage to see Nai Nai before she died? Family from 3 countries needed to say goodbye without letting Nai Nai know we were actually saying goodbye. This would require more than whiteout. My dad had an idea.
So I said, all right, your uncle, maybe we can just, stage your son's wedding early, 1 year early.
What is the distance from the film now? Because it's been 5 years. What is it, let me take that again. With 5 years of distance, what does the movie mean to you, and has that changed?
I mean, it's meant everything to be able to tell a story that is about my family. That's something, it was therapy for me, trying to navigate the 2 cultures, and I just felt so compelled to tell the story, and then to also have it be met with success and to establish my career. So the first part of it, creatively, spiritually, I would have told it, whether it's through This American Life or through a film, I would have found a way to just tell the story, or even just, at parties. You won't believe what happened over and over, right? Making it as a film obviously had a much wider reach, and then to be able to, it was such a small film. We made it for a little over $3 million in my grandmother's hometown in northern China, and I cast my grandmother's sister to play herself. So this was just a very, very grassroots small film, and to have a platform like Sundance, to have, it have a bidding war like I talked about, and then to be able to now have a career because of it. I mean, that all happened because of the festival.
Well, it's fascinating that you referred to The Farewell as therapy. Is there pressure then on your future projects to be therapeutic or cathartic?
I wouldn't call it pressure. I think that art is just always, I have to go on a journey, you know, and I think that's when the work is best, not when I approach something knowing exactly what I'm going to say and, you know, I'm going to sort of lecture or tell you something. No, it's actually, I embark on a project because...
It's your discovery.
Exactly. That's the only way it's interesting for me.
And then you occasionally discover things about yourself, and that's where the therapy comes in?
Yeah, it always starts with questions that I'm asking. You know, something is intriguing to me and I don't know the answers, or I don't necessarily know why this intrigues me. And so much of the excitement, but also frustration, is the discovery, because sometimes you don't figure it out right away.
I just want to offer a proviso. Do not watch this movie on an empty stomach. There is so much telegenic food eaten throughout the farewell. And I was curious how food complicates a shoot. Because if the mound of shrimp or crab is more appropriate given the film, if the mound of crab is sort of descending throughout a shot, you have this question about continuity. And then I wondered if the food was even real or if it was like plastic set dressing. Will you talk about maybe the challenges of filming a movie with so much good-looking cuisine?
Quite a lot of challenges. There were a lot of, you know, you would relate to this, Gigi, a lot of discussions between me and producers of how many crabs, because they are expensive. But, you know, it calls for a mountain of crab, and I started feeling like my nine-eye and being like, no, but we need a mountain, otherwise you don't get the story across. And they were like, well, this is how much these crabs cost. Can we reuse the crab? Because it's, you know, it's a few hours, a wedding, but you're shooting at that over 3-4 days. And so you don't want not fresh crab. So how many can you replace it? Can you use the crab from yesterday? So there's a lot of those conversations.
I love that you said, Gigi, you'll understand the crab problem, of course. Why would you naturally understand the crab predicament?
Well, it is a fundamental part of producing to help a director with the logistics and the budget and the pieces of it that go into it. I also did a movie that centered around food called Nona's. And when we sold the movie to Netflix, they said, it was good, but we need better, and they reshot the food. So to your point.
Oh, all real crab?
Yes.
Not imitation or plastic crab?
No, but we did have old crab that should not be eaten, but could be used for, you know, prop dressing.
Set crab.
Yes, and so we had to make sure the actors knew which ones were edible and which ones should not be eaten.
That's a whole nother set of problems when that happens.
Wow. Trichinosis on the set, everyone. Okay. I appreciate those details. I think we should speak to the deeper meaning of the food, which is that I think it is so clearly a representation of love.
Yeah, it's a representation of love, but I was also really intentional, I think, about not making food porn, right? Because we live in a time where it is so easy to, particularly I think in you know, other cultures, to exoticize the food and to make it this thing. Whereas in Chinese culture, it's not exotic. It's just part of the fabric of everyday life.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the intentionality around the food was actually to use it as a source of terror, like thriller, right? Because why? Because for Nai, food is an expression of love.
Yes.
But when you are grieving and when you're stressed out, you don't have an appetite.
Yes, and Aquafina is not eating.
And but if she doesn't eat, Nai is like, what's wrong? So in order to, you know, properly disguise that everything's okay, she needs to eat. But then it's this forced eating. So a lot of these like close-up shots of the food, I think, you know, on a subconscious level was to help convey the tension of like eat more, which already is stressful. Like, I know it sounds great, but even when you're not grieving, it's very stressful.
Yeah, I mean, any visit to an Italian or a Jewish
Exactly.
home, it's like, how do you expect me to fit it in my body?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
But if she's dying, you better eat all that she's putting in front of you.
right, this might
The
be
guilt.
the guilt. This might be the last time you eat that dish she makes. Thanks for unpacking that. Okay, let's backtrack ever so briefly. Producer Gigi Pritzker, you, I understand, crisscrossed Colorado before Sundance announced Boulder would be the festival's new home. What stood out to you? Compliment us. Make us feel pretty.
It's easy. It's
Okay.
easy to compliment you. We did the funniest road trip. I kind of wish we had a camera with us, but Ebes, who you saw speaking, who
Yes.
is our board chair, and I decided that it would be important, to his point, that the festival wants to be inclusive and be a part of multiple communities in the state. And, you know, when you grow up somewhere, you know, all the relatives, all the things, you're used to, all the stuff. And then when you move and you're an adult, kind of like the festival is doing, you have an opportunity to kind of live differently and look differently. And
Sundance
so,
is moving out of the house, getting its own apartment.
Yeah. So we felt it was really important to go, and we went to Fort Morgan, and we went to Fort Collins, all the forts. We went to Colorado Springs. We went to Salina. I mean, we really kind of crisscrossed the state.
Salida.
Salida.
Yeah, that's okay. Retake it.
Yeah,
I
can we
got
do that
sausage
again?
making, you get sausage making.
We went to Salida. Thank you.
And is the idea then that the festival will spill into these communities outside Boulder? Is that?
I think, you know, one of the things is that both Colorado and Sundance get the opportunity to, like, figure out how to live together organically, and it won't all happen in the first year. And so there is an idea that, you know, there's a robust world here that existed before Sundance got here. And the idea isn't to be the, you know, giant thing that lands in the middle of the yard, but to be a part of the community. And so that takes time and that takes intentionality. And I think it is the intent, I know it is the intention of the festival to really understand the community that we're coming into.
I dare say most Coloradans who don't live in Fort Morgan have probably never been to Fort Morgan. I adore that town, and it's very quaint Main Street and the Cover Theater. Why were you in Fort Morgan?
To go to the theater. We went to go see the theater there, and we went to go, yeah, and we intentionally wanted to go see, you know, many different parts of the state, agricultural parts of the state. You know, this state is really diverse and fascinating.
Are you scoping locations?
You mean to shoot? Well, there's always that.
Gigi, tell us.
And your tax incentives aren't bad, so there's that too.
What's that now?
Your tax incentives. That's what we live for as producers.
Is the tax incentives.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's another panel altogether.
Yes, it is. But yeah, I think our intention is over time to think about how we can the festival is here for 10 days, but we live for a whole year. What other things can we do, and how can we be a part of the whole state's landscape?
Now, if I'm correct about this, the Institute remains in Utah. Is that correct?
The Institute is all of it.
Okay.
The festival is a part of it, which is here.
Yes.
And then the labs, one of the labs is currently here in Estes Park, the director's lab. But there are other labs that happen at the Sundance Resort, which is outside of Park City, up in the mountain, where Mr. Redford bought the land and initially started all the labs.
So this was not a complete removal of yourself from Utah.
No.
I think it's important to establish that.
And not only is it not a complete removal, the festival is here, but a number of our labs have been elsewhere. We did labs in the Middle East. We've done labs in Ucross in Wyoming. Our native lab has been there. So we have a number of labs, and kind of the historical heartbeat home is the Sundance Resort.
Yeah.
But we've been in a number of places with the labs.
These labs, which Lulu also participated in, I have this image of you in a white coat with beakers, but can you tell me something you learned in a lab? Like, was there something really practical? Don't do that. Put the camera a different way. That light is wrong.
That's what's great about the labs. No one is there to tell you that something is wrong. It's much more of a sort of like a petri dish. I want us to go back to, but like it's a place where you get to experiment. There's advisors, of course, and they'll give you suggestions, but the lab, so I did a lab that at the time was called Film 2, and it was for people who are making their second features. Oh. And
this is after the success of The Farewell?
No, the Farewell was my second feature.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
It grew out of this. Very
yes,
good.
yes. Okay. And so we were working with Joan Tewksbury, and we were writing, she would have us write down, it was like journal exercises. And so it's really trying to open you up to dig deeper, write about your mother, write about, your first memory as a child. So there's all of these different exercises, and now I've participated as an advisor, so I just participated this year, and I've done it a number of years before, and as an advisor, I've realized too that, I'm there to listen to what is the story that you want to tell and how do I help you best convey it, as opposed to saying, this is right, this is wrong. Oh. And I think that the thing, both being an advisor and having attended the lab as a filmmaker, that I've learned is it's all in editing. Filmmaking continues to be, you remake the film every time you write another draft. When you shoot the film, you're remaking the film. When you edit the film, you remake the film. So there's no finish line. You just abandon it at one point, And that's the beautiful thing. You have to always stay open, and every step of the process is to just, okay, now that I've shot it, what do I do? Forget the script, forget everything. How do I make the best film with the materials that I have now? And, walking other filmmakers through that process is a reminder for me.
Coming full circle to some extent. So really, The Farewell is a 4,000th draft, is what...
I'm still rewriting it and still remaking it in my head. If I could remake it now, which I can't because I already abandoned it, but I have edits, I have notes.
Wow. Can I encourage you to let it go?
I have not watched it since probably 2020,
okay.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah. I so understand that. There can be a pain in going back to something that's on tape. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn this into a therapy session for myself. But Lulu, tell us about your upcoming adaptation of the novel Audition. I want to know why it's a story you want to bring to screen.
So this is an adaptation of Katie Kitamura's book of the same title. And when I first read it, I think I read it in 48 hours, and am I allowed to curse? I was like,
please do.
What the fuck was that? And then I read it again, and I think that that's why I wanted to make it. Because I read it so quickly, I didn't know what it was that I read, but I was so drawn to it that I read it that quickly. And so I'm early in the process of figuring out what the fuck it was or is, but it is about identity, but it's about so much more. It's about the different roles that we play in our lives, the different lives the lives we lead and the lives that we have given up. And all of these parallel paths, and it's intriguing, it's sexy. I immediately saw the cast. Like, as I was reading the novel, I saw two of the actors that I've been wanting to work with for a long time, Lucy Liu and Charles Melton. And so I reached out, and they, Lucy read the book and said yes. Charles said, I don't have time to read the book, but I want to work with you, so count me in. And he agreed to do it, not knowing anything about it.
So do you need a casting director? I guess you are that.
Usually with this, because I knew the actors that I
Yeah.
wanted to work with and I had a personal relationship, I was able to go that route. So it just came together really quickly. And also it was Higher Ground who brought me the project, Obama's production company.
Yes.
And they have an incredible track record and incredible producers. And I think so much of filmmaking it's about the material and it's about the people. You know, you want to work with the people that you respect, the people that you like, the people who you just want to work with, who are good people.
So did they come to you to read the book?
Yes, they had optioned it and came to me, yeah.
Did you tell them your first reaction was what the...
Yes, yeah. I did. I was like, I don't know what I just read. So they had given it to me before the book came out. So there were no reviews, no one else had read it. I couldn't like go and, read like other reviews or New York Times.
Anything to ground you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I just thought this is so interesting and the characters are so rich and the questions and the themes that are being explored. I have no idea how I'm gonna adapt this for a film, but I was just up for the challenge because I was drawn to it.
Well, I wasn't going to host a conversation in the college town of Boulder during CU's Conference on World Affairs without including a student voice. So for the remainder of the program, we're going to chat with a budding filmmaker and then let her ask some questions of our two big shots. Please welcome sophomore in cinema studies and moving image arts at CU, Kate Yezi. Oh, good, they gave you the button spiel. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Same first question. What was a film you loved as a kid?
There's so many I can go back to, but I think one that was important to me as it was to my family was It's a Wonderful Life. There's so many times, or every Christmas, we would all come together and watch that in our basement, and I just think that really started my love for film in a way that I maybe didn't even realize until recently.
You are a member of an organization called Gutsy. I thought you, Kate, were going to be the first to drop the F-bomb, but it was actually Lulu.
I'm sorry.
What is...
Don't tell my mother.
Don't tell your... What does Gutsy stand for?
Gutsy stands for Give Us the Fucking Camera.
And give who the camera?
Yeah, well, Gutsy is an amazing student organization, which is just to help elevate and support underrepresented filmmakers and creatives at the University of Colorado Boulder, and just like outside the film industry as well. So like a lot of what we do is putting on guest speakers event, workshops, movie nights, just any way we can engage our community and just have a space for all of us to create.
You helped make a mockumentary that landed in a short film festival. We have a trailer. We want to watch it first, or you want to say a few words before we do?
I think all I'd like to say is it was just an amazing collaborative effort between a lot of Gutsy members, and just so many students got to be involved with a production for the first time, including myself. So I think it was just a really wonderful learning experience, so I'm excited.
And the title of the film?
It's called Mango Tango Wango.
Mango?
Mango Tango Wango.
Tango,
yes.
Rango, from the crew at Gutsy.
The show is on! It's Mango Tango Wango!
How does it feel to be part of the show for so long?
Don't even get me started with this documentary bullshit.
We're all just one big family, really.
What the fuck?
Like off the record.
God.
Guys, stop!
OMG, it is so exciting.
Swear on set, it's just pretend.
Remember Wango. Smile.
If I don't help you land a job, I'll never forgive myself. What's your dream job, Kate Yezi?
To be a screenwriter and director. That's always been something, a dream of mine.
Okay, let's get you into a lab. Should we get you into a lab? Okay, for the final part of this conversation, I want you to ask the questions of Gigi and Lulu. So take it away, Kate Yezi.
Okay. Lulu, I'll start with you. So you studied music and literature at Boston College, and I read it wasn't until your senior year where you really began making and producing films. I'm curious, like, where that inspiration for filmmaking came from.
If I'm totally honest, because you're a student, it was actually because I was following a boy. But it's interesting because I took a photography class. I was always interested in photography. I was always interested in writing, and I had done music since I was 4 years old. I started playing the piano. And my junior year I actually made a film, but I was a writer. I wrote the script, and I was in it, and I made it much like you guys, just with a group of friends. But I never thought of myself as a director. And now I think back and I wonder why. I mean, I know why, you know, because I hadn't seen a director that looked like me. And so then there was this boy, and he was, you know, signing up for a film class, Film 101, and I was hoping to hang out with him more, so I signed up for the same class. And then once I got in the class, I completely forgot about him, and he does not make films. He never became a filmmaker. Once I got in the class, I was like, this is it. This is, you know, the intersection of everything that I love, and why hadn't I never thought of this before? And I think also I'm a very stubborn person, and when I got in, it was just all these young men who wanted to be directors. And so there was a part of me that was like, you know, as we were choosing, you could be a cinematographer, you could be an editor, it's like, I am gonna be a director. And once I think of something, and I'm very stubborn like that, I would never let go.
That's amazing. And sort of a follow-up for that, like, how did those experiences then at school and in those classes help shape you as like an artist, and then lead you to pursue a career as a filmmaker?
Yeah, I made a couple short films in the class, and there was, it's not a big film school, it was just a pretty small film program, but they had something at the time called the Baldwin Film Awards, Student Film Awards. And so the first short film I made won an award, and then I made a couple more, and they all won awards. And so I think that just being really encouraged by my professors to pursue it. And it was the first time I was doing something out of passion, out of love, out of fun with my friends, and then to also be really encouraged by the feedback from my professors, as opposed to doing something because I'm trying to achieve a goal and trying to get into a school or trying to please my parents. And so I think that the intersection of the passion and really the encouragement of my professors helped me, because at the time my parents definitely did not support me declining my law school acceptance, because it had all been planned out. I was accepted, I got a full scholarship, and I said, no, actually, I think I'm gonna go work in a coffee shop while I start writing scripts.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. And Gigi, kind of a similar question. So you studied anthropology at Stanford University, and then I read it wasn't until you traveled as an undergraduate to Nepal for a year that you began making documentaries. How did your experience there help shape you as an artist? And, sorry, let me retry that. How did your experience there help shape you as an artist, and then lead you to pursue a career in film?
So I actually went to Nepal my junior year of college. And I wasn't doing films, and I came back my senior year of college, and I had a whole plan to get a master's in anthropology. And for me, it was a professor as well, who said, don't do it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, don't get a master's in anthropology, you should go to film school. And it had never crossed my mind. That was like never a thing. And I was like, I can't go to film school? People have been making films their whole life, and it's my senior year, I can't get into a film school. And he said, don't get a master's in anthropology, go to film school, you're too creative. And no one had ever said that to me. And I was blown away, and it felt great. And I was like, really? And so I said, okay, well, what film school would I go to? And he said, there's an anthropology documentary film program in New Mexico. So I was like, okay. Fast forward like 25 years, he retired. I wrote him a letter. I said, you don't remember me, but you changed my life, and it's been unbelievable, the career I've had, and I'm incredibly grateful to you. And he wrote me a letter back and he said, no, I remember. Also, you didn't have a prayer of getting into that film school. I called them. So, professors matter.
Yes, absolutely. It's amazing. And then Lulu, I have a couple questions about the farewell. So most of the story centers around how the family is dealing with Nai-Nai's terminal illness. And it isn't until kind of the end of the film that we get this like really wonderful moment of Nai-Nai waving goodbye to Billy and her parents. And I'm just wondering if you could talk about that moment and like that perspective switch and what that meant capturing it there.
Wow, yeah, it's been many years since I've seen the film, so I'm trying to remember, but I think it's just such a universal and honest beat where it wasn't intentional to like switch perspectives necessarily, but I think there is this question as you're watching her of she probably knows, or maybe she doesn't, but maybe she does. But also as we get older, as parents get older, as grandparents get older, the thought is always there that this could be the last time. So it doesn't really matter. She knows or she doesn't, because every trip, every goodbye could be the last one. And so that's what I was trying to capture, is yes, for Billy, she knows that it likely is. And for Nai-Nai, she's likely thought that way for a decade. And that was true of my grandmother. She thought she was gonna die starting at 60. She started talking. She would say, you know, my clothes that I want to be buried in are over here. And we're like, okay, you know, you're 62. But yeah, and I wanted to keep it that long shot. You know, that was really important to me, just watching her get smaller and smaller. And now every time I say goodbye to my parents, I think of that scene, because you know, every time I get in the car and we're pulling away and they're standing at the door and they won't go back, they won't go into the house until we disappear, which I know many people, I'm sure, can relate to.
It was super impactful. I definitely cried during that scene for sure. And then the farewell just deals a lot with a lot of complex familiar relationship. Like, given the size of the family, like, how did you decide which relationships to prioritize in the film?
I think it all comes down to, well, you know, which family members bribed me. No, I'm just kidding. But I did get, you know, some of them were upset. You know, I didn't get as much screen time, and how come? But, you know, it comes down to the story and what best serves the, you know, what I like to think of as the monster in the room. So even though it's a family drama, I really approached it like a horror film, that there was this lie, and the lie is the monster that is unseen. You know, if you've seen A Quiet Place, right? It's about sound, and the monster is somewhere, and it'll appear if the sound is too loud. So for me, it was like keeping the lie in the room at all times, and it might be exposed. The monster might come out at any moment if you cry too loud, if maybe Billy says something, and so choosing the relationships was about you know, which relationships, which characters were best servicing or threatening the exposure of the monster.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, Gigi, I'll bring it back to you. As you're on the Sundance Board of Trustees, how do you see Sundance acting as a bridge for film students in search of a career in film?
Part of the reason we're so thrilled to be in Boulder is because of the relationship with the university and the opportunity to really think in a way that we've never been able to about how we can impact students, how students can impact Sundance. You know, Sundance has been a place through the labs and through the festival where we work with young filmmakers or new voices and new filmmakers, but now we get to even go one step before that to talk to people like you and the gutsy folks. So I foresee a lot of different ways that we will intersect with the university and the university will intersect with Sundance.
Can I recommend something too? I highly, you know, you guys are young. If you're students and you're young and you have the energy, wait in line. You know, like that is so much the fun of it, is don't worry about not being able to get a ticket. Just show up. People are so generous. The number of people, you know, when I first went to Sundance and nobody was giving me a ticket or letting me cut in line or anything, the number of people who go, oh, you know, I have an extra ticket, so-and-so is sick and didn't show up, you know, who wants this? And things happen. It's kind of magical, and just by attending, volunteer, you get to see films as a volunteer. And one of the most incredible things is I've had so many people over the years go, I was at your screening at the Eccles when the first premiere, and your parents were there, and now look at where you are now. Like, you get to be part of that, You can be at a screening, and you don't know where that filmmaker is going to be in 3 years. They might be winning an Oscar, and you can know that you were at the premiere of their very first film or second film.
Yeah, absolutely, that's so great. And then kind of the last question for both of you, but for just for students and like just emerging filmmakers, what is some advice you have for getting into independent filmmaking?
Don't do it.
You gotta really
Anthropology, I hear, is...
It's really lucrative. Philosophy, I hear, is a great track.
You have to want to, and you clearly do, really badly. And then for me, I would say, try work on your friends' films, find a short film, work on as many films as you can, PA, do whatever, because what you'll find is you'll find a group that then someone will get a job somewhere and do a thing, and then you'll get a job somewhere, and you follow your kind of cohort, and everybody kind of rises together. And it's really just, and I think Lulu's right, like, go to the festival, be around. You'll meet other filmmakers, you'll meet other people who are like you that want to do things. You'll get together, you'll make a short film. That's the way to do it. It's a full contact sport. That's the only way to do it.
One of the things I regret not doing is not volunteering at film festivals, because it is a free education and it is so exciting. And again, when you're young, you don't mind. It's exciting to sleep on a couch, come with your friends, get a place together. And my partner in life is also a filmmaker, Barry Jenkins, and he volunteered at the Telluride Film Festival. And to this day, he is still a programmer. He started for the festival on short films. He started out doing concessions, popcorn, handing out popcorn, and then slowly, little by little, watching other people moderate, he became a moderator. And he's now, an Oscar-winning director, but he still loves moderating, he still loves mentoring, and he still loves programming and watching all of these short films. And so I think that, as Gigi said, that's how you find your people, your community. And the biggest thing is perseverance. I know you'll hear that a lot, but the reality is, especially now, that the industry is tough, and so there's a group, and you'll watch people start to fall off. People will go get other jobs, be more realistic, get married, have kids, want to buy a house, and so you've got to really want it bad, and so you look for the people who stick around, and you stick with them, you work with them, and then 10 years later, those are the people you turn around and you go, oh, that person I came up with is now an executive. That person just, won an Oscar for, cinematography. And these are, that's the group. So just you've got to be really stubborn.
And there are a lot of good festivals in this area that you can volunteer for. I mean, there's a ton.
Including the Boulder International Film Festival, which just wrapped. Okay, we have just a few minutes for potential mop-up here. Pete, is there anything we need to redo? I don't even know where you are. Okay. We're good? Okay. Sandy Batulga, stand up Sandy Batulga, my incredible producer and fellow at CPR News. Okay, since we're just dropping the F-bomb, what did I fuck up? No, really? Okay, thank God I paid her $20 before this. Okay. Let me get a thank you. Here's the thing. I want to know if that boy knows you forgot about him.
I have no idea. I've told the story a couple times. I don't even know if he knows who he is.
Oh.
And I don't think he.
I'm like she's too powerful to talk about this rando boy. Okay.
His name is no. He lives. Here's his address. Call him.
Okay. In the clear, I will say, Kate, Lulu, Gigi, thank you.
Thank you.